on every session and keep and do a lot of work on your own. 12 not 12, 20 hours a week, as a matter of fact. So it's not oh, I'm gonna sign in for this session, I'm gonna jump out, come again. You cannot miss the sessions. That is required for your own good, but it's also required for you to graduate and receive a voucher. We do require 6 sessions, which are the ones that Roya is going to lead, where we're going to study, do labs together. So this will be every other week. In between, we'll have office hours where we go over exam questions or example exam questions, which is completely necessary for you to prepare. So you need to have cloud experience, what we're going to do, but you also need to have experience with the exam format, the exam questions, and how to be prepared to pass that as well. So you basically, you do need to be there every time. And the other reason to sign up is that in order to get the credits to do this free, because this can add up. It's $1 per credit, so we'll be doing literally hundreds of those. Is you need to be signed into our event and check Cloud Skill Boost with the exact email to get your credits. So this is a study group. We will meet every week, sessions together with Roya, and also office hours for questions. Of course, these are limited to 1.5 hours. If you want to form study groups on the side, absolutely. This is what the graduates from the last course did. Even though we had 8 sessions, 5 hours each, that is not enough. These things are this is an industry standard, the most difficult one. So you do need to study on your own or in groups separately. So that's a great idea if you already know people, or if you want to connect now, you can do that. Another thing is the hours where we meet. There was some suggestions, so we do meet at 4 p.m. on the East Coast, which is still working hours. I realize people can be anywhere, since this is a virtual event. However, there was a suggestion maybe to start 4:30, maybe even 5. So we wanted to do a poll to see what would work best. However, do the poll only if you're planning to stick with this. We don't want the poll to be skewed by people who may not keep up with the course. So is there, I thought there was a option to do a poll here, maybe not. Okay, I'll set up a poll, so we'll vote by the end of this session. Prerequisites. So there is no hardcore. I also opened the Q&A. So because we have a lot of people in the chat, move fast. If you have a question, if you want it to stand out, please use the Q&A. So the prerequisite, there's no hardcore prerequisite. Basically, we want to welcome anyone. However, we have to be real. It's preferred you have ML experience, industry experience, and cloud experience. If you don't, you can still do that course, but you will have to work even harder. If you have no experience in either area, we do recommend to start with either Cloud Digital Leader, which is very foundational. It's not professional, it's foundational certificate that's great for anybody, not just developers, marketers, product managers, designers. Is a great overview of what Google does. We did start with Associate Cloud Engineer last year. That one is also requires some familiarity. I would also suggest to do that one before jumping into ML, but we don't want to stop anybody. Like we said, this is going to get hardcore fast, so you do need to be committed, especially if you are lacking experience. Future videos. Yes, Linda is here. You must know Linda. She's our fabulous GDG from Capital Region, and she's certified in multiple clouds, and she also takes care of our recordings, YouTube channels. Basically, she's a whiz of back end and front end and everything in between. So our first session is already on YouTube, and this is being recorded. So this goes straight to YouTube. Linda, I'm not sure if we posted. Linda usually also posts the link in the event after the event, so people who visit that page can find it there. If we haven't done that, we can do that. So yeah, so last week's video was informational. If you're here today, you're pretty much caught up to what we had to announce. Make sure you do the form, and we haven't started with any labs. So I guess now is the time to make sure everybody has credits. Roya, do you mind sharing your account info with the credit tab so that people can see what they have to look for? But basically, if you go under your account, you have to see this enormous number of credits. These are not your own. This is a pool of credits that keeps changing all the time because Google adds, I don't know how often, but everybody who is part of the road to Google Cloud certification, not just with us, but anywhere in the ecosystem, you get a pool of credits. So please, I guess, are we missing any announcements? I think not. I will post the next sessions so you can sign up for those. And I guess now is the time for everyone to check if they have the credits. Okay, different things. The form submission is not the one that is going to give you credit. The form submission is in addition to what we're doing here. By design, we cannot see your email. We need to know your name, your email in order to contact you, because this is not a one-off event where you can disappear. We're gonna be together for 3 months and beyond. So it's mostly online. We are planning a in-person graduation. It's going to be in New York, but when and where is still to be determined. But of course, that would be a fun celebration for everyone who fulfills the requirements. In order for you to get the credits that you see on the screen, you need to be to RSVP to today's event. So if you're in this session, you have RSVP. How long ago you RSVP'd is also very important, because it usually takes a few days. It's not instant. So if you haven't, wow, there are a lot of people with no credits. Can you share how long ago you RSVP'd to this event? Oh, Maddie's here. Hi, Maddie. Maddie is our badass instructor who is an expert in everything from finance to ML to blockchain to boot camps to like I told you in the beginning last session, if you missed it, Roya and Maddie are the absolute best in class instructors that you have a pleasure to work with. So to solve the credits, so a lot of people, yes, you don't have to take my word. You will see if you haven't met them already. Roya has been at our other events in New York, and she also leads Google Cloud Boston. So, wow, a lot of people. So first of all, you need to be signed in with the exact same email that you signed in for today's event. So you go and you create an account, or if you have an existing account, it has to be the same email basically. So if you signed up with an email, with one email for our session and another one for Cloud Skill Boost, this is not gonna work. The way it works is the email you use for the same event, which I advised you last time, should be something with your name, something major, because your record is going to be under that email. It has to be the same one under. So you see how Roya's email is her Gmail? That's the email you need to be using for Cloud Skill Boost and our event. But the email is the one that's signed up for our event. So, and to be honest, this is surprising because I did contact the support, and they said that everybody who signed up to the event has credits. Well, that was, of course, that was last week. So we did get quite a few signups after. But a lot of people should have. Yeah. Anyway, wow, a lot of people have 0 credits. I will post here my email, but most importantly, I will so I will contact the support. They are usually pretty responsive. However, I will post the email here if you want to contact them directly. You can. One moment, I'm copying the email. So the GDG support at google.com is the support for this program. Like I said, I will contact them afterwards, and if you are concerned, you can do that as well. But yeah, thank you, Maddie, for helping with the questions. The email you used to sign in today you had to come in and sign into Google, right? That is the email that you need to use for Cloud Skill Boost. Cloud Skill Boost in the GDG community, you see the URL in the screenshot. cloudskillboost.google is different than gdgcommunity.dev. You have 2 different accounts. The 2 have nothing to do with each other, except that we have a program together, and you have to use the exact same email for both. Okay? So, well, I mean, this is good. You have a week. That's why we are doing each week is going to take 2 weeks. Roya, do you mind sharing the learning journey? Perfect. So this is the learning journey. We are gonna. There are some changes that some labs are. This is things change constantly. So this is the learning journey. Today we are week 1 or session 1. We're gonna rename these to sessions. So each session is gonna take 2 weeks. So next week we have office hours, so you have time to catch up. And then, so today is 8th of June. So 15th of June will be office hours. And then week 2 is going to be on June 22nd. So you have 2 weeks to complete this week 1. So if you didn't get your credits today, we'll go over with 1 lab. you won't be able to follow along on your own, but you can watch what Roy is doing, and then you can do it on your own after you get the credits. And make sure between now and session 2 or week 2, which will be in 2 weeks from now, you have completed all this. So we will be, like I said, you see there is hands-on lab practice. So these are skill badges. These are milestones that you achieve along the way. So these are fantastic achievements in themselves. You can share them on LinkedIn. They do take quite a few hours. You can see 6 hours. That is flexible. It may take you longer if you get stuck somewhere. If you're an expert, maybe it takes you less, but that is the average, 6 hours. So we will be keeping track on everything though. So if there is no skill badge that appears on your cloud profile or cloud skills boost profile, then we will ask you to share screenshots that you completed the labs, which is not visible on your profile. But we do want everybody to keep on track. So your task for the next 2 weeks is to complete all of these sessions. We do have a Slack channel. We will be creating a private one after we see that people are serious and they stick and they fulfill the learning journey. We have a private channel, but the road to Google Cloud is open to all the learners across the world. So who can post? Linda, do you mind posting the link to the Slack? So the Slack channel has multiple channels. One is for New York City. One is for, depending on what learning journey you're taking. There is one called Cloud Machine Learning, which you're welcome to utilize. Like I said, there are people from all over the world. They usually answer your questions. But we will have our own dedicated channel where Maddie and Roy, and we'll have other guest speakers and instructors throughout the course. Will be able to interact with you, and you'll be able to learn from them as well. If you signed in today, chances are you're not going to get your credits. It takes 1-2 business days. If you signed up 5 days ago, though, that is a problem. That shouldn't be happening. So, like I said, after this session, I will follow up with support, and you can do that as well. Did we post the Slack link? Oh, thank you very much, Roya. Lian Fei has 9 credits, so those must be from somewhere else. You should be seeing a pool of credits, like Roya showed there, like thousands, hundreds of thousands. Okay, a manual process right away, but that's exception rather than the rule. Oh, thank you very much for showing, Roya. So this is what you should be seeing under your account. Again, you need to be signed in with the same email you RSVP today. And these are not your own credits. These are pool of credits, but they're practically unlimited. So you can do any lab anywhere. Of course, you should be sticking with the learning journey for each week. The learning journey is posted. We will share it afterwards in the Slack and in a follow-up email, so you know what you have to complete each week. No, the number of credits varies all the time because people take labs and they change all the time. It should be a gigantic number. It's not going to be the same. It changes all the time. This is a pool for everybody. So Let me see any Q&As, and we are doing well on time. Um, also under the Q&A, are there any another question? Is there a difference between Google Developer and Skill Boost? So we are Google Developer Group in New York City. There are 800 around the world. These are groups that do events. Cloud Skill Boost is the former Quick Labs. This is Google's platform for you to learn cloud skills. So you complete multiple of labs where you literally use the Google Cloud platform with a temporary account. So yeah, those are very different things. One is an organization and one is a platform for learning. You have credits, but you're not part of the group. What part of group? What group are you talking about, Emmanuel? Oh, the badge. I am not sure about the badge. The badge says 2022. There was a question, what do you put in workspace
Which
URL?
badge?
We had a link where you can get a badge under your developer profile, which is different thing. This is just a vanity thing. It's not essential for this course. Or it's good for your overall collection of badges, but the task at hand is to make sure you have credits for this. So the badge is not an urgent thing. We have time to take care. What is urgent is to make sure you have credits for you to do what you're supposed to do.
Let me chime in a little bit here. So there are two types of badges that one can get. There are these basically badges that you are getting for each of the course that you are finishing, and these are based on this Cloud Skill Boost pathway that you are taking. So when you are completed with one uh, basically total course, then you are getting one badge under your Cloud Skill Boost, and you can make it public if you want to share it with people, and it's under Cloud Skill Boost. There is Google Developer Profile, and you can also get badges there. And that's mainly for everything that you are doing Google related. Google Cloud Skill Boost is one of those, and it's basically based on like when you finish multiple of Cloud Skill Boost separately. But these are two unrelated badge systems.
Exactly, and with this one doesn't mean anything. This one is not the one we're talking about. The ones that Roya showed under your profile, those takes many hours to complete. We're gonna do them together. That's what's required for you to graduate here, but more importantly, prepare for the certification exam. So the badge that you got says 2022 instead of 23. Well, that's very, very minor. Worry about the badges that you need to complete here together as part of the Road to Google Cloud program rather than the one that I don't know, it just says you participated or something. It takes 1 second to get. These ones take 3 months to get. So, what is the name of this group's workspace? I don't think we have a workspace.
On Slack, I was referring to.
Yeah, you gave us a link
Oh,
and they're asking like to sign in. What do you like? I'm not sure you gave us the right link to sign into the Slack thread.
so the Slack has many channels. Ours is Road to Google Cloud NYC. And then there is some channels depending on what course you take or what study group. So there is one that is called Cloud Machine Learning English. So that's the one that's relevant to us right now. But there are basically many channels in many languages for different courses. The link that was shared. One moment to see if I can share this.
Please use these 2 new links that I posted.
Does that work? I honestly am not.
Yeah, Google NYC
I don't know
is
where
not
it's
the name of it. I tried; it didn't work. Google NYC is not the name of the workspace.
Road to
Cloud.
Google Cloud NYC is not the workspace; is a channel on the
Well,
road.
but
to
we need
Google
the name of the
Developer.
workspace or a new link to be able to sign up and enter the Slack based on the link that you shared 8 minutes ago, Roya.
Copy invite link. Okay, so I copied an invite link. And if that doesn't work, means the Slack doesn't work.
It works. We're just working out the kinks and how to access it. There's always some user error somewhere. It's to be expected. No.
Yeah, so what didn't work is I couldn't invite people by email. I wanted not to ask you to join, but just invite you. That didn't work. So hopefully if this works, then that's great.
Anna's link seems to work, everybody.
Perfect. Are there any unanswered questions? So we have about an hour, so we can go through the lab and answer lab questions.
I did have one more question in reference to, I know you said that this was, I guess, session 3. Session 1 and 2, you said are located on the YouTube channels?
This is actually session 1. Last week was info session. So that one wasn't anything that we did technical, any labs. It was just to prepare people what to expect, to talk about the program, why to get certified, and so on. Today is the kickoff, is the first session, which will have 2 weeks to complete week 1. So from the learning journey. So if you are here today, you are right on time. If you missed last week's session, no biggie. Now you need to commit, make sure you do the labs, and make sure you attend. The office hours are optional. The sessions are required for you to graduate. Of course, we understand there are exceptions. So we asked for 6 attendance throughout the course. So I would recommend to not miss the sessions where we go over the new material and do labs together. The office hours are to go over exam questions and to answer questions together. So people said, is there a study group? Yeah, that is the study group. It's 1 hour. Then if you want to have additional study groups, you can also form ones in the Slack. The Slack already has channels that are with like people. So anything else? The slides, this is being recorded as well. Do we typically share the slides? Yeah, we can share the slides, but most importantly are not the slides, but the lab. So why don't we start with that? Is there anything else? If you didn't get your credits,
Sure.
we'll make sure to take care of that as soon as possible. Roya?
Sure. I just wanted to chime in a bit. So last week we actually went through the content of week 1. And the reason that I brought in this slide again was to show you briefly what we discussed last week. But because last week the time was limited, I thought to go through one of the labs with you guys today, and then we can continue from now on. Last week, we briefly discussed the content of each week from week 2 to week 5, week 1 being mainly the information about how things going on. So what you can expect from next week would be the ML problem framing and solution architecture. The brief idea is how you can turn a business problem to an ML solution, and what are the basically tricks that you can use, what are the main architecture that you can use, and what you should be aware of to make sure that you are not endangering your system by producing an ML solution. The week following by that, we are going to invest heavily on data ingestion and preparing and processing the data. I discussed last week that this would be 85% of all of the work that you would be doing as an ML engineer, because all of the problems comes from data. And this cat in the side is just to reference how deep learning came to play initially, and the idea was given a stimuli to a cat and basically see the electric signal generated by the brain. And somebody I really trust, he has this idea that any deep learning can be as smart as a cat brain. So you really need to invest in your data to make sure that the data is representative to you before you ask a deep learning model to actually use that. The week following by that would be investing on building a model, training and testing, and all of the fancy things that come with basically ML engineering. But actually, the most of the work is data pre-processing, that which we will cover in week 3. And week 5 would be for us to go over the implementation and training in a pipeline format. So instead of having them in your own notebook, how to take it to a Google platform and basically make the whole thing automated. And it can be used because you have to use it essentially because you do not want to have boxes of work. You want to have everything continuously. By that being said, we also discussed some of the tricks and tips for the exam, which I leave it for you to go and check out the video. I don't want to lose time, so we can go over the lab. The first group of work that you might want to do. So obviously you go to the path. The path that I'm right now focusing on is machine learning engineer. Then there is all of the work that you have to do. And I wanted to start with the first official type of work. I strongly recommend to start with the tour of Google Cloud hands-on lab. It's a 4 lab with what you should expect in the lab. If it loads, yes. So you start the lab and you go through it, and there is a marker here that tells you basically based on the answer. So you just read and answer the question, and you will be done when you are 100% done here. So what I wanted to cover today was this BigQuery lab, which is, I think, here. Yeah, so big data and machine learning on Google Cloud, the first lab here. Some of the lab have introduction, and some of the lab have also a demo. This is one of the labs that didn't have a demo, so I thought to go through it. If you do have the credit, I strongly recommend you going over it today with me. Okay, so let's start it. Everybody ready? You click on Start a Lab, and then first, I'm not a robot, obviously. It asks you whether you want to use with credit. Make sure always that you are using the pool of credit, otherwise you are actually like paying for it. So I start with 5 credits. And wait a little bit. Right click, or at least that's what I usually do, and there is an explanation down here. But right click on the Open Google Console and then go incognito. Otherwise, it understands that this is you and it charges you. Okay, let me share my other screen. Okay. So the username that it's been provided to you, the password that's been provided to you, and obviously some terms that you are going to let you understand. Then it asks you whether you are based in United States or if you are not based in United States, you choose the country you're coming from, agree and continue. If you are following along with me, then okay, it asks you to go to the BigQuery. If you do not even have the credit, I ask you to have the lab open on the side because I'm reading through it, so I want you to be able to follow along. So in the lab description, it says open BigQuery console. In the Google Cloud Console, select navigation menu, which was what I was on the top, and then choose BigQuery. And then click done when the welcome message pops up. Done, that's good. Task 1, query a public dataset. In this task, you load the public dataset USA named into BigQuery. Then query the dataset to determine the most common names in the US between 1910 and 2013. I cannot split a screen right now because I'm showing you one window and it gets down when it does. Let me see if I can do that. Give me 1 second. And disclaimer here, I'm not a cloud expert, so if I'm making mistakes, bear with me. I'm learning with you guys. I cannot make my screen split right now, so you can have the information on one screen for yourself and follow me along on the other screen. Does that work? Thank you, Luis, for making it clear. And I do have a 13-inch laptop, so that sucks. I'm sorry. Okay, so let me continue to make sure that we finish in time. I'm reading through the task. So this is task 1, the public data set. So load the US name data set. In the Explorer pane, so here, type USA names. So USA names and press enter. And it doesn't find anything, but I want to broaden it to all the projects. And then it finds the USA names. Yay. And then in the Explorer pane, hover the pointer over BigQuery public data, which is this one, and then click a star. Okay, that's done. Note, if the new project BigQuery public data doesn't appear, sorry, I'm trying to also answer the question at the same time. So on the learning path, I showed at the beginning, I'm on Google Cloud Big Data and ML Fundamentals. This is the first course that you are supposed to follow. And then this is the first lab in the first course. exploring BigQuery public data set. Okay. In type to search, so up here, type BigQuery public data and display all of the data in the project. I did that, I think, already. Yeah. Okay, so we have all of the data set in this project, which is BigQuery public data. And then expand node for this one. So we are expanding it. Scroll down the list of public data set, click more result until you find USA name. So this is at the end of it. USA names, and then click names to expand the data set. That's what I did. Click USA 1910 to 2013, which is this one. Okay, so query the US name data set. Click BigQuery public data that US names that US 1910 to 2013 for the names and gender of the babies in the data set. Click on query, so here, and then click on new tab. And then copy this code that is provided to you. So this is the code. Basically select names and gender, and then tries to calculate them as calculate the number of those, put them in total, and it chooses it from a BigQuery public data that US.name.USA 1910 to 2013, and it groups them for names and gender and orders them for us, so puts them in order based on the total that it already counted in a descending manner, and only shows us the first 10. So having that done, you can just click run. It takes a bit and gives you the answer. So the most common name is James with about 4 million, and John and Robert, and the most common female name is Mary. Okay, so then it asks you to download the baby name and read it for yourself and have it in a location to be able to upload it later on. I already have downloaded it, so I go further. Return to the Explorer. So I'm reading. I have downloaded task 2, and task 2 is just like download something. So return to the Cloud console. In the Explorer pane, clear BigQuery public data. So this thing that we wrote, yep, we did it. So then select your project ID, which is this guy here. Create data set, and then choose the data location. Data ID is baby names. It's already given me the data names, region. It says to keep the data location to US multiple region in United States. That's right. Default table expiration, leave it the default value, which is as is. Encryption, leave it empty. Create data set. By that, we are done with task number 3. Task number 4 is to load the data set into a new table. So in the Explorer pane, expand your project ID data set. Already done. click on the baby names and then click create table. So here, create table. Yes. For source, choose upload. For source, choose upload. For select, browse, and navigate to the file. So this is 2014 here. It's a CSV format. And everything that I'm doing, it's already written for you. I'm just like following the task for you to be able to see that it's really easy. But still, if you have questions, let me know. It's hard for me to go between the question and here. I try to answer the question afterward. And then for table name, enter name 2014. Okay, that's done. For the schema, enter as a text and then enter the schema. So name should be a string, gender should be a string, and count should be integer. That makes sense. And then create table. Again, the schema is something that has been given to you. I haven't generated it. Sorry. In the Explorer pane, select baby names and name 2014. Okay, we are here. Then it asks you a question. In the details pane, click the preview tab. In the details, okay. I think it's updated since this lab was generated because now the preview for us is this one. There is a question, quick quiz that you need to answer. The question is quick quiz. You need a table to hold a data set, and obviously you saw the answer. Okay, query the table. In the query editor, click compose new query. And that's the part that I get stuck because I don't know why it's not there. Yeah, exactly. The layout has been changed, and what I'm seeing is not what it's been explained here. This morning that I did it, I just clicked here, and that's compose a new query. But as you can see, we do not have a query editor to basically do that. And then it gives you a query, which you can just copy and paste here. And if the copy and paste doesn't want to work, so select name and count from this table. Their gender is only male and order them by count, descending, and limit to 5. So those of you who know how to work SQL, you will be really happy here. And voila, this is the answer. So this is John and James. It's not the most common name anymore. It's Noah and Liam, which is for 2014. So anybody remembers any movie then? It's Noah and my quiz. You can answer it. The answer is easy. And by that, congratulations. You are done with this. I will share the screen again back to the normal one, which is here. So end of the lab, you are done. You click end of the lab here, submit, and voila, you're done. Okay. I was good and I was good. Let me see what are the questions. Do we have any question unanswered here? Link for machine learning, blah, blah. YouTube. I'm sorry if the lab was not clear to you. So there are, I tried to be clear, honestly, but maybe I should have send you notes ahead of time. So if you want to know, you go to path, and in the path to machine learning engineering, right? And here I started with the first course, which is Big Data and Machine Learning Fundamental, which is studying the BigQuery. If you click on this guy, you will be having this course, Big Data and Machine Learning Fundamental. The first section of the course does not have any lab. I started with the second part, which has a lab, opened it, and went for the lab, exploring a BigQuery public data set. And that was the lab that we just went through. And this pop-up is for me because I already have done it, and it just wants to tell me don't spare the credit. Okay, any other questions? You're happy, we are good. Okay, last week, before
I'm sorry, I did have one question, but it might be an offline topic. I could Slack you if you prefer.
Sure.
Okay.
You might want to ask it because we usually people have similar questions, and
okay.
if we saw that it's going to take longer, we can talk about it offline.
Yeah, no, it's just I was just curious. I was just curious because I did take a couple of these courses via Coursera, but I think maybe I have to just partner with Coursera to make sure they transfer over properly. But that's just probably a one-off type situation.
Oh, okay. I have done some of these courses previously with Coursera, but I also have done some of these offline, and they've been transferred. I'm not sure whether Google Cloud was that I have done before transferred here, or my Coursera one has been transferred here, but some of the lab has been transferred from the past. I do not have any idea which one was it, but maybe you can contact Coursera.
Got you. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you. Again, about Coursera, I'm not sure whether Google keeps record. I think, I'm not sure again. I think because I'm using the same Gmail for my Google Cloud Boost and my Coursera, that's why some of these labs have been transferred, but I'm not sure about it. Thank you, TC Lee. They say that it actually does. And yep. Okay. If you do not have any other question, there was 2 questions last week that I wanted to cover, but I haven't because of the we were short on time. So that would be a nice judgment on where you are standing. So do you want to do that? Everybody's ready? And please answer in the chat box. I hope we can make a Kahoot next time, but for this time, just answer in the chat box. Okay, the question is, you work for a manufacturing company that owns a high-value machine which has several machine settings and multiple sensors. A history of machine hourly sensor reading and non-failure event data are stored in BigQuery. You need to predict if the machine will fail within the next 3 days in order to schedule maintenance before the machine fails. Which data preparation and model training steps should you take? A. Data preparation. Daily max value feature engineering with data prep, model training, AutoML classification with BigQuery ML. B. Data preparation. Daily mean value feature engineering with data prep, model training, logistic regression with BigQuery and autoclass weight set to true. C. Data preparation, rolling average feature engineering with data prep, model training, logistic regression with BigQuery ML and autoclass weight set to false. Last one, D. Data preparation, rolling average feature engineering with data prep, model training, logistic regression with BigQuery ML and auto class weight set to true? Please answer, and I will give my suggestion after 5 minutes. We have 89 attendees available here and only 4 answers. So please say something. There is no reason to shy. I wait 1 more minute. Okay, let's answer because we are on a good note. The last answers are D, and D actually is the right answer. And why D is the right answer? So A is wrong because this is not a classification problem, right? It is not a classification problem because it asks you that you need to predict if machine will fail, within the next 3 days. Okay, so that's basically is a prediction, and prediction will fall into logistic regression or regression problem, right? That's that. B is not right because it looks into a daily mean value. When you are working only on daily mean value, then you are actually losing a lot of information. On the other hand, when you are using rolling average for feature engineering, you are basically looking into a windows of information, and you are getting the juice of that windows of information, and you are just putting that into account. And particularly because you are working for prediction, then you want to constantly have a snapshot of history to see what is the output, what is the prediction. So that's the reason B is not right. Between C and D, so for all of those who chose C, everything is similar between C and D. So rolling average, check, data prep, model training, registered regression, all of those are correct. The only thing that differs between these two is auto class weight set to false or true. As Maddie mentioned into the chat, due to the class imbalance, you are required to make up for the data that hasn't been presented. So you need to have auto class weight set to true to make sure that the minority is high enough to have an impact on your model training. Does this make sense to everybody? Perfect. Thank you. Oh, thank you very much. Okay, next question. Drum roll, please. You work for a large financial institution that is planning to use Dialogflow to create a chatbot for the company's mobile app. You have reviewed all chat logs and tagged each conversation for intent based on each customer's stated intention for contacting customer service. About 70% of customer inquiries are simple requests that are solved within 10 intents. The remaining 30% of inquiries require much longer and more complicated requests. Which intent should you automate first? A. Automate a blend of the shortest and longest intents to be representative of all intents. B. automate the more complicated requests first, because those require more of the agent's time. C, automate the 10 intent that covers 70% of the requests so that live agent can handle the more complicated requests. D, automate intake in place where common words such as payment only appear once to avoid confusing the software. So I give it 2 minutes and see what you are answering. One more minute until 5:04. Okay, so the answer is C. There is a discussion about logistic regression is a classification model or not. I think let's go back. Now that there is a discussion, we have to go back. Maddie, do you want to explain it, the previous question?
Yep, I can. Can you folks hear me? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Yes, no? Okay, cool. My read on this question is, it's trying to ask you if it will fail or it will not fail, right? Anytime when I hear there are categories, my brain tends to go towards classification. So in machine learning, there are generally two types of main kind of questions that we want to answer. One's called a regression, and one's called classification. Now, logistic regression has the word regression in the name, which is very confusing, and I apologize on behalf of mathematicians. That happens quite a lot, so it's tricky. So let's talk a little bit about like how do we know what's regression and what is classification. The question I ask myself is, if I expect the final result of the model to be any point on the continuous number line. For example, what is the guess the age of this person? I could say 42 or 42 and a half, or I don't know, 42 and 8 months, right? So it really could be like fairly granular, especially if the answer can end in decimal. Usually I think that's probably a. Now, if you have a model that needs to get the should come out as what is this or what type is this, then typically I like to think of those as classification problems, right? So in this question, you're asked to predict if the machine will fail in the next 3 days. So if you ask me or any human, hey, is this machine going to fail in the next 3 days? The answer is yes or no. It didn't ask for a probability, right? So because the answer is yes or no, then I'm going to lean towards classification. And in fact, if and this is a question, and I want to share a little bit about test taking strategy, because in the end, this will be a multiple choice test. When I see this question, I also know that logistic regression is probably the correct component of the answer, because there's literally 3 logistic regressions, in the choices from B, C, and D, right? Now, this is a trick. It doesn't always work, but just keep that in mind. So then the last thing I want to kind of explain a little bit is class weights important, right? So let's say I ask you to build a model to predict who's a terrorist, right? We all know, like, there's very few terrorists, in the general population, or at least, we would like to hope so. So if you give it that data, example, if you want the model to be 100% correct, there's a very easy way, and the model will just say everyone is a terrorist, right? Because then you kind of catch all terrorists. But because most people in the data set are not terrorists, it's in the favor of the model if you just give it any new example to guess, okay, is this a terrorist? It's going to say no, right? Because if we're just randomly to guess 99% of the time, it will be correct, right? So this is where you have to adjust the weights in your model, and it's done automatically. Class weights. So when should you consider using auto class weights? When you expect a data set to have a class imbalance. For example, one of the class will only have like 2%, and the rest of the class will have 98%. That kind of situation. So hopefully this adds a little more context, a little more. Roya, do you have anything to add?
You covered everything, and I'm sorry if I made a mistake here. Not always here to learn together.
Oh no, like we're all learning together. I'm sure I will screw up many times. So you sure, please be patient and please correct me, because I want to learn too. But yeah, do we want to go back to the other question then?
Yes. So actually, this is not also my expertise, because I haven't used Dialogflow. I learned it from somebody. What is the right answer? C. But if you know better, I would be happy if you could cover it. If not, so the right answer for this question is C. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm not a cloud architect. I learned it from a cloud architect from GDG Cloud Boston. Lucas is the champion in cloud, and he has been using Dialogflow for some time before. And he explained to me that it can take many intents. So the idea is that you receive 70% of the customer inquiries, and those are simple. So because those are simple, they can be solved within 10 intents, and that's the number of intents that a plug can have. 30% of inquiries require much complicated requests. So quote unquote, you cannot basically use Dialog for those. A is not right, because it says that automate a blend of shortest and longest intent to be representative of all intent. This is not an ML problem to solve that you want to have balance. You actually want to have this automated chatbot. You can think of Dialogflow as basically an ancestor of ChatGPT. So you can have this chatbot to answer those, and you want them to be easier. So A is not right, because Dialogflow cannot handle those longest intents. B, automate the more complicated requests first, because those require more of the agent time. Again, this one is not right, because if you can cover 70% with easy chatbot, then you can ask somebody to do the rest of the more complicated requests, right? And you are doing a business, so you are trying to make money. So you are trying to make as much of a job basically automated as possible. So for that matter, B is not right and C is correct, exactly for the reason that I just explained. And D is automate intent in place where common words such as payment only appear once to avoid confusing to the software. And that's understanding that Dialogflow can handle more than that, and it doesn't get confused just by automating payment. And that is the reason that C is not correct. So actually, the reason is that's why C is right. So by that being said, we covered the question and we covered basically the lab. So next, follow the learning path, attend weekly study group, and have your questions in the community in the slides. This is not right, so we are still right now. We are starting week 1, and by 2 weeks from now, please finish these and let us know if there was any problem. That being said, questions, comments?
If anyone has a suggestion, feel free to share that either like privately with us, or feel free to like put it into the Q&A. Because we're all just doing this and we're not like the most experienced. We're just trying to do our best. And if you have ideas that we can improve, that'd be really. And yeah, just wanted to appreciate Roya for spending her time and guiding us through these labs. She's probably done them like 5 times now. So but yeah, I really appreciate your patience and everything.
No, thank you for sharing that perspective. Just one quick question, if you don't mind. So when we looked at the first quiz question, obviously there's still some terms here that are unfamiliar, and I suspect as we go a little bit further on this journey, right, in terms of learning, it'll be very clear, what auto ML means and BQML and some other, esoteric terms. Right? Is that, and then again, I have a very parochial understanding of ML. All right. But, a few of these terms I didn't recognize. And I suspect as we go a little bit further along, they're going to crystallize and they'll be like common language. Is that kind of true?
Okay. Thank you, Joseph, for your answer. And I need to be frank with responding to that question. The questions that are brought into these slides are easier versions of what you would see in the real exam, but the content that we are covering, both in the course and to some extent in the lab, is, in my opinion, way easier than what you would see in the exam. So take the quizzes as a sneak peek of where you are and where you are expected to be to feel confident for the exam. A lot of these vocab would be more familiarized when you are going to part. Still, as Anna mentioned, the expectation is a person who is going through these courses and who wants to get this certification has 3 years of ML practice and 1 year of basically GCP practice. So the expectation for them is that you already know. So
okay, good. No, thank you for that clarification.
I don't want to, because I'm a huge advocate for everybody to do ML, because I think that ML should be easier and easier over time. And quote unquote, you don't need a PhD to do ML. But I also need to be honest to you that it really requires outside of the classroom studies to be able to really cover everything for you to be able to do the exam. I hope that answers, and I hope that it doesn't disappoint you.
No, no disappointment, and I'm glad. Thank you for your candor and explanation. It just helps me understand that there's a little bit more digging in territory that I have to cover, but that shouldn't be an issue.
And if I may just add
Thank
to
you. As I mentioned,
oh, sorry, Raya.
No, I was just saying that. Please go ahead. Sorry.
So I just want to echo everything Roya said, and I'm also someone that doesn't believe, oh, you need a PhD or even computer science degree to do machine learning, because I do not have any of those things, right? In fact, I learned how to do programming by teaching myself. So compared to a lot of you, I'm actually unqualified in many regards. So, but yet I am doing machine learning, so it's definitely possible. Especially for people who feel like, oh man, this is so much new information, it's so difficult, I'm not going to make it. That's not true. So it does require a lot of hard work. And one practical tip for, when you encounter a question and there's a bunch of words you don't know, ask ChatGPT, ask Bard, or just ask Google, right? What does this mean? And you can keep asking questions, because sometimes the words that are specific to Google is new to you, but you understand the idea, right? So even when you encounter a question, there are many things you don't know. Just be like, you know what? I don't know what this is. Let me see what I can find out. And actually, a lot of times you are able to solve a lot of questions yourself. When I study a new field, either in machine learning or something else, at the beginning there's too many questions. Every new question get answered leads to other questions, right? But at some point, I find that I'm able to make sense of kind of like a little bit of a framework, so I know what things are, and then the questions become more organized. So when you get to that stage, then you're doing pretty good. But you just have to sit tight and grind through the question, leads to more questions. So hopefully that helps.
I like your attitude and your approach. So thank you.
So someone actually asked a really good question earlier that I answered by typing, but I want to bring it up in case it's helpful. I think Eric 10 was the person that asked this question. So sometimes classification isn't mutually exclusive, right? This was actually one of the test questions on the evil little form that I made everyone kind of try to fill out. So for example, you can have is this a dog? As far as I know, there are no cat dogs, but if you have, for example, like a tagging situation, that's still classification. So, for example, is this category payments or category, I don't know, accounts? And also you can have a different category. Is this high, low, or medium priority? You can have a customer support ticket, for example, that both is payments in category and also high priority in category. So it doesn't need to be mutually exclusive. So when I think about categorization, I think of them as sets, right? So let's say you have a mathematically we call them sets, but you can think of them as just stuffing a bucket, right? Can you definitively tell if this ticket belongs in the bucket of payments or belongs in the bucket of account receivable? Can you definitively tell priority ticket or medium priority ticket? There's no medium high, and there's nothing in between, right? You're either dead or not, that kind of thing. So hopefully that helps a little bit with people trying to understand like what is classification, what is regression. And I just wanted to point out that there are sometimes classification that are, I think you can have multiple tags.
Thank you very much, Maddie, for the explanation. And I leave it to Miss Anna to close the session. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us tonight. And Maddie mentioned and I said earlier, we are still in the beginning of our journey. So please forgive me if I'm making a mistake. I'm trying to learn you all together. Thank you. I pass it to Miss Anna.
Thank you, Roya. Thank you, Maddie. If you haven't checked, exciting news. The Google support replied that everyone should have their credits now. So that was pretty instant. So there's nothing stopping you now. The results from the poll are in. So I have literally scheduled the next event, which is office hours. Based on that, most votes are for 4 p.m. So we'll keep that going forward until the end of the program, 4 p.m. Eastern. If you're in New York, it's very easy. If you're not, you have to figure out what time that is for you. So,
and real quick question. I'm so sorry. Do we get the email invite for the office hours, like officially, or do we just?
So there are two things. That is a great question. So once you RSVP to an event, there is an option to also receive emails. Make sure you check that, because if you don't, you are a member, but you may not receive our events. And I just posted the link here, so that sends an email automatically to everyone who is a member of the group, like 2,000 and so, and then we have many on Meetup. So you should receive an email automatically. Now, because the form should be now completed more or less with everyone who has committed to participate. So we'll be creating a separate emails that are not, the ones that automatically go to everyone. We'll have a select email just for machine learning engineer learners. So check your email right now. You should get any minute the one that goes out as soon as the event is published, but I posted the link, so make sure you RSVP to that. And now with that we've pretty much settled the hours, I'll be posting all the sessions, so you can RSVP many weeks ahead and make sure that that's on your calendar and you're able to join every time. Now, this was before we go, somebody posted the GDG support. I mean, that at this point is not necessary. I would suggest not to send emails there if you haven't, because you should receive your credits. They assured me that everybody has, so I don't doubt that. A lot of people posted they did. So, Paul, look, he has 400. Well, look, if you have credits from somewhere else, that may be some kind of issue. Okay, so I honestly don't know the answer. If you have multiple subscriptions, what happens? 500 may not be enough. So in that case, yes, please follow up individually with GDG support. But those who didn't have any credits should be all set. And finally, I want to tell you that since we are in the AIML event space, we have an amazing IO extended planned. So IO extended is exactly what it sounds like. You must have heard about Google I/O and Google I/O Connect. Maddie and Roy and I had the privilege to be there live. One was at Google's headquarters in Mountain View, California. One was, which was called I/O Connect, for the first time was in Miami. So as some people who experienced it live, we are now bringing that experience to you. And we have an unbelievable session planned next week at the most stunning venue in New York. is at Pier 57, which is it's not only Google's, but it's Google event space. It's just amazing. The place goes into the river, so you can take pictures with the Manhattan skyline in Manhattan, which is usually not possible, but this space has that. We're going to have 400 people, unbelievable speakers. We just confirmed a true AI celebrity and pioneer. Manuela Veloso is the head of research of head of AI research at JP Morgan. She's PhD, managing director, professor at Carnegie Mellon, head of machine learning department there. She has so many titles, I can't even list them all. We are super honored to have her. We have Googlers, we have GDEs, we'll have other AI speakers from different startups. It's going to be all about generative AI, about LLMs. We are still finalizing, but I want to pause the event here so to make sure you can come. 1 second. In case you haven't signed up already. So yeah, make sure to sign up for that. Give me a minute for the link and make sure you sign up for now the office hours are up. So basically sign up for everything we post and you will be very, very set with top events. So here's our link. The registration, so this is in collaboration with Google's open source team, who has Beam Summit during the day on June 14. June 14 is the day of the event. We have our I/O extended in the evening, so there'll be some people from the conference still there. So the registration is at another location, not on the GDG platform, but you can see the event info, and we're going to be adding more speakers. So April, if you haven't received the email, I would suggest to use this link, and when you RSVP, so this is the link for office hours. When you RSVP, there are a bunch of questions. Make sure to check that you opt in for email updates, because if you don't know, this is due all to the privacy issues. If you want to attend one event and that's it, we cannot send you updates. So you need to additionally opt in to receive email updates from our community. So unless you opt in,
yes, Anna, I just was able to do it. Thank you so much.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. So like I said, I'll make sure that all these updates are sent to everybody on the email. That doesn't happen automatically, so you have to give me time, but that's why I suggest for you to opt in for all emails that you receive from us, because we truly have world-class events. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna plan in-person graduation. We're planning a huge Dev Fest in October, which is going to be quite an experience. So it's always good to stay up to date and decide whether you want to join. So we are at time, unless Mila sent her email. I cannot add emails. You have to do it yourself, but if you filled out the form, then we have your email. Sorry, it's a lot of confusion. Developer badges, skill badges, GGG platforms, other events, Slacks. Yes, there are many moving parts to this, but we'll get the hang of it and we'll streamline it. And that's why a huge thank you to Maddie and Roya. Like I said, Roya just did this, and we are learning from their experience to make that everything better, support you in every way. The ones who did our previous associate cloud engineer, that we made everything sure to fulfill their wishes in terms of speakers, in terms of, we had food, so we took food requests. We had swag, we had graduation, so we are here for you. We want to make sure you are successful. So, oh, will there be streaming? That's a great question. I don't think so. We are in person. There may be recording, but for now, the plan is to be in person. I'm not a huge fan of hybrid events. We want everyone to have the same experience. So that's why we are all virtual or all in person. And if it's an important thing, we record the in person so you can watch after. But the value we provide is mainly for the local NYC community to meet in person, and that's what they want. Everybody wants to see each other and be together rather than online. And this course, though, it was either online or not at all, so that's why we're doing this virtually. So
I'm sorry, Anna. One more question. I do apologize, and I'll let you go. The direct link, not direct link. The direct location in which we could check to see if we had the credits or not would be on our path page or explore page. I'm sorry.
Oh, so you need to go to. So the name for Cloud.
You need to check the path. So basically, when you are going to the cloudskillboost.google, then you can check out, if you let me share. So, and then you can check out your account. When you check your public profile, you must be able to see. Not the public profile, sorry.
Oh,
then you click on the credit.
Yeah, that answers the question. I thought you were saying between
15,000.
Yeah, fantastic.
Make sense?
So Cloud Skill Boost is the former Quick Labs. A lot of people know it as Quick Labs, so that's where all the labs and credits are.
Can
so
you
when you sign
repeat
in, you have your little